They are a running back's worst nightmare. You don't want to run slants on these guys, and oftentimes they're the quarterback of the defense. This is the top 10 middle linebackers of all time. We got Ruddy, we got OY, we got NF. How y'all doing?
I'm doing great, man. I can't wait to completely butcher this because I don't know anything about linebackers.
That's true. Ruddy's on for mostly commentary today because the lines between middle linebacker, outside linebacker, pass rusher are so blurred that. But we're just going to focus on inside linebackers today, essentially. So, and we're going to focus on the modern era as we always do. They had to play in the '80s. Some of the people on the list you guys sent me just kind of barely made that list. But we're going to go ahead and get started with our number 10 guy, a guy I'm very proud to announce to be on this list, and we're going to hit him with the dramatics again. Bobby Wagner at number 10. He was on NF's list. He was on OY's list. And unfortunately, I mean, y'all know I'm a Seahawks supporter. He just did not make my list. He was number 11, number 12, essentially. But I'm gonna give the floor to NF and OY. I was very happy to see him on your list, and actually I just saw him on the sidelines. He's back with the Seahawks. I'm very happy about that. NF, why don't you start off? Tell us about Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprised he didn't make your list. Honestly, he made it to my list for like 11th hour. I think he wasn't on my initial list, and then I put him on there. I think for the last 10 to 12 years, or however long he's been in the league, this guy's been up there in terms of middle linebackers. I think he's one of the best out there now, maybe the best out there now. 6-time All-Pro, 6-time first-team All-Pro, 3 times second-team All-Pro, 8 Pro Bowlers. 2 times he led the NFL in tackles, Super Bowl champ. Yeah, I'm so surprised he didn't make your list somewhere.
Yeah, he was like basically just right outside of it. But I'm gonna cede to OY here. Tell us he was on your list as well. I was so happy to see him on both of y'all's lists. I want to hear more about him. OY.
Yeah. I wonder if you didn't have him on for like longevity reasons, or maybe because he's still active. But
yeah,
initially when I was putting this list together, I didn't think of him being like a top 10 all-time backer. But then when I looked into it more, very quietly, I feel like he's kind of like crept into this conversation, and I think I was similar that I didn't have him on the list initially. Then, like when I started looking into it more, I was like, wait a minute, this guy was like the captain of like an all-time great defense. He's been a Pro Bowler basically every year he's been playing. He's always up there in tackles. He's reliable. He's consistent. And I think like the reason he kind of flies under the radar is maybe just like his personality, right? He's not like outspoken. He's like quiet. Seahawks. I don't want to say Seattle's like a small market, but it's also not like
they are.
New York, Chicago, places like that. So
yeah. I mean that's why they nobody talks about Tariq Woolen, even though he's better than Ahmed Gardner, because it is a small market compared to New York.
He's just got to do what Wicks did this year, man. He's got to be locked down this year.
He needs to do better than lead the league in interceptions.
Apparently, that's not enough.
Yeah. Sorry, I know we're diverting. Go ahead, OY.
No, you're good. So, yeah, man, I had him at like number 7. Honestly, like to me, it was between him and another guy we'll talk about, and I'll circle back to it later. But I think he absolutely deserves to be up here.
Ruddy, what do you know about Bobby Wagner, other than the fact that he just beat your sorry Vikings in the preseason about 10 minutes ago?
I did not know that ex-Cavaliers coach Mike Brown started taking steroids. Look at this guy, bro. Look at him. That's Mike Brown.
There is no comp that Ruddy can't make. That's amazing.
I don't know anything about this guy, man.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But you know what? He got a good hairline, so I'll give him that.
Got a good barber. He's no Victor. But
pretty sure that's all.
Victor, man.
He's no Victor. Bobby Wagner. So he's basically 11 and 12 on my list, and I'll tell you the main reason why is because compared to the other guys that made my top 10, his turnovers. He has six interception. Six forced fumble, 13 interceptions, and that's like pretty low relative to everybody else on this list. And then his combined tackles are actually really good. He has 1,523 combined tackles, as OY and Naif both go off screen. That's seventh amongst the middle linebackers all time. 900 solo tackles, that's 23rd all time, but 11th among middle linebackers. Basically, what I'm saying is he's been only playing for 11 years, and eventually he will be on this list if he plays probably another. If he plays another 2 years, I think he'll have all the accolades to be on this list. And of course, one of my favorite players as a Seahawks supporter, won a Super Bowl. That's pretty rare amongst some of these great all-time inside linebackers as leaders of the defense. Of course, he was part of the Legion of Boom and that great Seahawks defense in 2013. They had a lot of great players on that team, though. So Bobby Wagner comes in at number 10, and we'll move on to our number 9 guy here, who is Lavonte David. Lavonte David was only on my list, and I had him very high. I had him at number 3 on my list. This guy, 949 solo tackles, 1,346 combined tackles. Those are both top 10 amongst the inside linebackers all time. 27 forced fumbles. That's number 1 all time amongst all middle linebackers. 12 interceptions. 143 tackles for loss. That's first amongst middle linebackers all time. And he has a Super Bowl, and he's been playing for 11 years, and he's still playing. And he's showing no signs of letting up. So this guy is a beast amongst all the middle linebackers. So I know none of y'all had him on your list, but I did. And I had him very, very high. His stats are incredibly, incredibly impressive, and he's still playing in the league. Anyone else have anything to say about Lavonte?
Oh, yeah, I have something to say. What does it say? What's his position? Outside linebacker. It looks like somebody's blurring the lines, too.
Yeah, he moved to outside linebacker.
When did he move?
Recently, last like couple of years, because he's fallen off since they got what's his name, Devin White.
He played for 10 years as an inside linebacker.
He did. He was a really solid inside linebacker. He's not a top 10 middle linebacker, man.
Now, you know me,
Definitely not a top 10 middle linebacker. He's like a 3-time All-Pro. Had a good start to his career. Has some good stats. Bags, man, you are overrating these stats, dude.
100%.
You're letting these stats like dictate.
So, but basically, according to you, it's all about how many Pro Bowls they make, right? I mean, that's extremely subjective.
No, I didn't say Pro Bowls. I said he has 3 All-Pros.
Okay, how many All-Pros he makes? That's also very subjective.
I think you can pull any player in the NFL and they'll tell you that Bobby Wagner is definitely better than Lavonte David. Or at least Lavonte David is not a top 3 inside linebacker of all time.
Based on what? I just read you a lot of and he has a Super Bowl. I mean, that's also an accolade that I don't really go with a lot, but I know you guys consider it very heavily. I mean, everything is telling me he's a top 3 guy. I mean, anybody else have anything to say about Lavonte?
This is the guy you put on your list, huh?
Is that Talks Fitness? What is that?
That's Lavonte Davis.
That's Lavonte Davis, the personal trainer.
I don't know who this guy is, man. I'm sorry, guys.
He's very good. He's currently on the Buccaneers. He's like
He's
really
a
good.
player. I don't know, Benny, man. That's a little high.
Where'd you put him?
Number 3.
He's only had 3 years. He's only had 3 years with at least 100 solo tackles, and he hasn't had any third year.
Walk me through your process of how you decide where these guys go.
I look at all their stats, and the things that I weigh most are for an inside linebacker are tackles, because that's what they do most often, and turnovers, which is forced fumbles and interceptions. And also, since they're essentially the leaders of the defense, there is some influence on when they win a Super Bowl because you are leading the defense the same way a quarterback leads an offense. That is pretty influential, I would say. So, based on all those things, and he's only been playing for 11 years and he's still playing. I mean, I know you guys are lambasting this pick here, but really, you just need to look at what he's done, and it's very clear to me he's really exceptional. But
do you think he has like that all-time great impact on the game?
I think if he continues to play and it just continues to rack up, he's going to be like Frank Gore, Emmitt Smith, Jason Witten, like just like an undeniably all-time great middle linebacker. But he's only been playing for 11 years.
He'll be out of the league in 2 years.
He's only been playing for 11 years, and actually, we're going to talk about some of these other guys that you have on here. Talk about 11 years not being a long time.
Just one thing, if I thought anybody would be ruining the list, I thought it would be Lully. Just gonna throw that out there.
No, I don't know what your criteria is. Basically, Naif goes to the pro football writers and says, like, who are you going to pick for all pro? Who are you going to pick for Pro Bowl? Pro Bowl, by the way, at this point, like, nobody plays in the Pro Bowl. It's all like third string guys because nobody else wants to play. So if that's your criteria, I would not be criticizing mine.
I don't know what you said about me. I heard my name towards the end, but I'm guessing it was a diss. But how dare you diss me like that with a triangle?
I can't believe you have Lavonte David over Bobby Wagner, man. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're saying it, but you're not really proving why that's the case. Why that's so egregious.
He's a way better linebacker.
Okay, there you go. That's the explanation. Way better. All right, let's go ahead and move on because there's going to be a lot of points of contention here. So we're going to move on to the number 8 guy. A guy, again, and this is going to shock you guys it shocked me where he ended up. But number 8. London Fletcher is at number 8. This is a guy that was on my list and Naiv's list, and I think he was just outside of OY's list. I think he was an honorable mention for him. Naif, talk to us about London Fletcher. Where you had him? What do you think about him?
Yeah, I think I had him number 9. No, I had him number 10. You just spoke about the Frank Gore and the Jason Witten of linebackers. I think this is the guy that's Frank Gore and Jason Witten of linebackers.
Yeah.
From 1998 to 2013 was a model of consistency there at the middle linebacker position. He had 4 Pro Bowls.
Nice.
2-time All-Pro. He had a Super Bowl. I think he's led the league in tackles before. Not sure if he has, but yeah, I had him at number 10.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go ahead and go here. It's going to shock you guys again. I had him at number 2. He's the second best inside linebacker. In terms of his resume, he had over 2,000 combined tackles. Over 2,000 combined tackles. 2,039, second all time. That's like, forget amongst middle linebackers. He's second all time, period. First amongst middle linebackers. 19 forced fumbles, 23 interceptions, 109 tackles for loss. That's 35th all time. He has a Super Bowl. Played for 16 years. 1,384 solo tackles. Amazing resume. Played for a long time. Did all the things you're supposed to do as a middle linebacker and won a Super Bowl. Rada, do you have anything to say about London Fletcher, former Washington Commander?
I think his biggest accomplishment is giving birth to 50 Cent. I mean, look at this guy. He just looks like 50 Cent's dad. Yo, look at him. He looks exactly the same.
Give birth to a superstar.
Yeah, man.
There you go. Number 2, definitely. What do you think of London Fletcher? I know you played for your rival.
Yeah, man. A lot of look, man. I have to deal with Washington fans like talking this guy up all the time, and I do think he's a great player, actually, and I do think he's very underrated. He was at like number 12 on my list, so he's like just outside. I think I tend to agree with Naif. I think he was a great player, but I think a lot of it is like compiling as opposed to like impacting the game. Like, to me, there are guys who probably have less stats but had a much bigger impact on the game. But yeah, you can't deny his longevity, and he basically was like Frank Gore of like the sideline. That's probably like how I look at it. But great player, man.
He has the second most tackles of all time, by the way. Did you guys already mention that?
I did mention that actually. Yeah, it's amazing. Over 2,000 tackles. I
That's
mean,
only 20 less than Ray Lewis.
Surprised that
it's
didn't have him at
incredible.
number one.
I mean, look. I mean, some of the guys that you guys that you guys have on this list, like, listen. It's all about criteria. I know people have different criteria. So, Knife's criteria is Pro Bowls and All Pros. But we're gonna go ahead and move to number 7 here. Number 7. I can't believe you guys put this guy this high. We have Patrick Willis at number 7. Patrick Willis, really, guys, really?
Yes.
Oh, why, NF? Go ahead, NF. Tell me how you have Patrick Willis on your list.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, 5-time first team All Pro, second team All Pro, 7 Pro Bowlers. He led the NFL in tackle twice. What else? I mean, dude, he has so many amazing stats. Since you like stats, I'm surprised you don't have him there.
He played for 8 years. His stats aren't that great.
He played for 8 years, and he was damn good for 8 years. All 8 years. So, definitely better than London Fletcher.
In no way is he better than London Fletcher.
Oh, yeah. This guy was an unbelievable middle linebacker for 8 years. I would have had him higher if he played for longer. I had him at number 7.
Yeah.
Exactly where we have him. So.
Yeah. Oh, why? Go for it. This is more of an impact guy, I'm sure. That's the argument.
Yeah, I think this guy is like I keep comparing these guys to like other players. I think he's like the modern like Gale Sayers of linebackers, man. Like he only played for like 7-8 years, but every year I watched him. This guy was the best linebacker in the league, maybe the best defensive player, other than like Ray Lewis, right? And I think if he had played longer, I think he could have. I'm not going to say he could have been as good as Ray Lewis, but you would have seen like some discussion, some debates going on. I mean, I know you hate the team he plays for.
I absolutely do, and I'm
like,
going to talk about that. Yeah.
But bro, like those defenses that he was the leader of were some nasty defense. Like you know this,
Of course.
Those are some really good defenses. And so yeah, I agree, man. This is an impact guy to me. Like the impact that he had, didn't he have like that crazy like interception or fumble return in the playoffs, like where like he was injured and I can't remember exactly, but yeah, man, this guy. If I was like constructing a linebacker, he's one of the guys that comes to mind.
Yeah.
I think at his peak, you're gonna think I'm crazy.
I already think you're crazy.
At his peak, I think he was the best linebacker ever. Like that 1 year that he had.
It wasn't 1 year. It was 7 years.
Which year was that? Which year that he didn't win the Super Bowl are you talking about?
No, it doesn't matter, man. You can't do that. He's just a linebacker. But I never seen a guy who's a linebacker, maybe Brian Urlacher is a guy like that, who one guy just scares an entire offense. He's one of those guys.
2007 to 2010.
What are you shaking your head about? What are you shaking? Can you name another guy? Lawrence Taylor? You didn't include him on my list.
He just did. Lavonte David and Patrick Willis. And,
Bumskis that you just mentioned. I've never heard of him in my life.
Patrick Willis played for 8 years and bounced.
London Fletcher.
Yeah, he's now a Silicon Valley tech guru, bro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he is.
Nice. Good for him. I had no idea what he was doing because he's irrelevant to me. He played 8 years. He had 8 interceptions in his career. 14 forced fumbles. That's probably the most impressive thing about him. He had 16 forced fumbles. Less than 1,000 combined tackles. Of course, that's going to happen when you play for less than 8 years and you quit. Of course, he was a bum 49er. He couldn't get it done against my Seahawks in the playoffs. He couldn't win a Super Bowl. He couldn't beat the Ravens when he had the chance in the Super Bowl as well. Quit early. I know that basically like he had the potential to be like a really, really great player. But to me, he never realized it. He didn't play long. He didn't play long enough to realize his real potential because I guess he wanted to go and start the competitor to X and Threads and whatever he's doing at this point. Is that what he's doing, Rodney?
Tell us how you really feel.
I can go on for days about how much I hate that defense of the Niners that never got it done. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our number 6 guy. A much more likable guy here. At number 6, we have Zach Thomas, the great Miami Dolphin. I'm a big fan of this guy. He was on all of our lists here. All of us meaning OYNF and my list. Um, uh,
I didn't have it on my list, right?
I don't think you did. I don't think you did. But OY, we're gonna start. We're gonna start with you here, Zach Thomas. What did you think of him?
Yeah, man. What's funny is like when he got elected to the Hall of Fame, I was like, really? Like, he never like while he was playing kind of stuck out to me as like this elite player. But when I went back and looked at it, I think he really does stack up really well with his peers. You know, this is like, listen, man, he's a stereotypical high motor white linebacker
Yes.
that they always talk about. Right, makes all the tackles, runs like full speed all the time. He has the Pro Bowls, he has the All Pros. He was All Decade team, and he played for the Cowboys, which a lot of people probably don't remember, for like a year or two, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he was pretty solid. Like he was pretty solid even like late into his career.
Very solid.
Yeah, man. I just think a very solid player for a very good player for a very long time.
Yeah, agreed. And as Roddy looks up his picture, NF, why don't you tell us about Zach Thomas here? He's gonna tell us he's like a TJ Maxx worker, like on his lunch break or something like that. NF, tell us about Zach Thomas.
He looks like Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Guy was short. He was like 5'11", but yeah, I think OY rambled off some of his stats. He was 5-time first team All Pro, 7 Pro Bowlers. Led the league in tackle twice. Played for the Cowboys. I had him at number 8. I think he was really good for a long time. He played for about 12 years. So
yeah. Roddy, do you have anything about Zach Thomas for us?
Yeah, I was gonna show a ridiculous picture and make some comments until you ruined it for me.
No. I'm just prepping the people. I'm just lubricating them so that they're ready for the picture. So
Yo.
why don't you go and go?
Let's not talk about lubrication here, my guy. Okay, let's keep this civil, all right?
Yeah.
All I was gonna say
Yeah.
is I never seen a guy with a neck that's wider than his face. Yo, tell me I'm wrong, bro.
Yeah.
What is that,
He
dude?
had like the neck roll. I know.
Oh
steroids. That's HGH. The guy was definitely on something.
I don't know.
This guy was on
Maybe.
everything. Holy moly, look at
Hey
him.
man, he was meant to play linebacker.
He was. He
looks like the kind of guy that would kill innocent people in Afghanistan. I don't know why. That's just how I feel.
Wait till you see Bill Romanowski.
Oh yeah. He probably actually did kill people, and we don't know about it. Like I mentioned, this was the first person so far that we've talked about that's consensus among all of our lists that was the stereotypical inside linebacker, the guy that went and he had longevity, played for 13 years essentially. I thought he played for longer, but he was the anchor. He got all the tackles. He was he had 1,734 combined tackles, 1,107 solo tackles. That's third all time amongst middle linebackers. That was his thing. 16 forced fumbles, 17 interceptions. Really solid in the turnover category as well. Just a really, really solid player. And I remember Zach Thomas as being one of those prototypical inside linebackers. So we move on to our number 5 guy entering the top 5 here. At number 5, we have another shocker here that is going to have to be explained. Number 5. Luke Kuechly, the Carolina Panthers inside linebacker here. This is another guy that was on OY's list and NF's list. Didn't even make my list, and so I'm just looking for answers here. NF, how did Luke Kuechly end up on your list? Where is he?
Clearly, Omar, you value overall stats, so like a combination of stats, longevity. This guy retired early. If he doesn't retire early, he's also up there. It's same thing with like Patrick Willis. This guy was Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, 5-time First Team All Pro, 2-time Second Team All Pro, led the NFL in tackles twice. He won the Butt Kiss Award 3 times. This guy was unbelievable on that Panthers defense. Best linebacker for that maybe 7 years that he played, I think.
Yeah. Oh, why?
Yeah, I actually didn't think I was initially going to have him on the list. I actually kind of forgot about him, to be honest. But I came across him again when I started researching. The smartest linebacker I've ever seen, watched, while I've been alive.
Mm-hmm.
The smartest linebacker. He knew exactly what the play was, where the ball was going, where the players were lined up, everything. This guy knew the plays that were coming in. And he was so good.
Where'd you have him?
Huh?
Where'd you have him?
I had him. Let me see.
Both of you guys had him very high.
I have him number 3.
I think I had him at 4.
Yeah. Very, very,
Yeah, I had
very
him
high.
at 4. This guy was listen, man, I don't think he was that big. I don't know exactly, but he could beat you with his brains. This guy was the quarterback of the defense. And I get you. His stats won't stack up against some of the other guys because he didn't play that long. But this guy could take over the game with his brains, and I saw him do it too many times for him to not be up.
Yeah. Roddy, this is another white inside linebacker here. Do you remember Luke Kuechly from the Panthers?
I do. And he also changed careers when he retires. He's now a substitute teacher for some high school.
Is that real? Is that real? That's a real picture?
Guy. This is the number 5. You have this guy above Patrick Willis. You're insane. How dare you?
Yeah. I mean, Luke Kuechly, like you guys mentioned, he had a brief 8-year career as well. Cut short by injuries. He had that really, really scary concussion. If you guys remember, he was stretchered off the field, and he was crying and looking around, and it was one of the scariest things I've seen. But to me, he was very similar to a Cam Chancellor. That if he had played more than the 8 years, he could have been one of the greats. To me, I think he was better than Patrick Willis. To be honest with you, I think he was a more prototypical inside linebacker. 18 interceptions and 3 more in the playoffs. That's actually the most impressive thing about him to me. 21 interceptions, 7 forced fumbles. He had over 1,000 combined tackles. 1,092 combined tackles. He didn't quite get that Super Bowl against the Broncos. I think that really would have cemented one aspect of his legacy for sure. I'm not as mad about this one as I am about Patrick Willis, but yeah, for me, you guys know it's just an argument of just didn't play long enough, and unfortunately, I think it was because of some of the concussion issues. But we'll go ahead.
I think it's clear, Omar. I think it's clear so you value longevity and total stats, whereas I think me and Y value the prime a little bit more than you do.
That's becoming clear, for sure. Yeah. All right, moving into our number 4 guy here, we got Brian Urlacher, the vintage Chicago Bears middle linebacker. He was a guy that was on all of our lists as well. Second guy that was on all of our lists. OY, we can go ahead and start with you here. Tell us about Urlacher.
Yeah, man, super athletic, very feared linebacker. He was the kind of linebacker that you were afraid to where players were afraid to go across the middle. Running backs were probably afraid to get hit. He always brought the wood. Pause. And I think he could also cover, man. Honestly, he was super athletic, very fast for his size. He could also cover. I think he won Defensive Player of the Year once. He was a multiple-time Pro Bowl, All-Decade team, things like that. So, honestly, what I was mentioning earlier about Wagner, it was between Urlacher and Wagner for me for those 6 and 7 spots. And I actually put Wagner above Urlacher because I think Wagner did it for longer, which kind of goes more towards I think what you value. So I'm a little surprised you didn't have Wagner on this, but you did have Urlacher on the list. But he was definitely a great linebacker, and I think like he might get. This sounds stupid, but I think he might get like bonus points for kind of holding down that linebacker spot for that team.
Mhm.
Right? They're kind of known for their linebackers,
Mhm.
and he followed like that legacy and definitely like lived up to the billing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I had him like 6 or 7.
Yeah. NF, talk to us about Urlacher.
Yeah, what can I say, man? Another white linebacker. Omar's bringing the wood. Bags relubricating. We'll run like this. Yeah, he was defensive
Innuendo
player
all
of the
over.
year. Rookie of the year, 4-time first-team All-Pro, second-team All-Pro, 8 Pro Bowls, 41.5 sacks, 22 interceptions, 78 pass deflections, 2 touchdowns. This guy was good for a really long time. I think he fell off like the last year or two, but he definitely held down that middle linebacker spot on a really good Bears defense that was really good for a really long time. I had him at number 4. So
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. Roddy, do you got the picture pulled up?
Of course I do.
Okay, talk to us.
Forget what I said about Zach Wilson. Okay?
Zach Wilson, the guy that slept with his friend's mom.
Look at Brian Urlacher's Twitter page, bro.
yeah, he's a super.
He's a real American. And also, he had the greatest comeback of all time, and by that I mean his hairline.
You know what,
He
man?
looks weird with hair, bro.
I know he looks
though,
weird.
I hated this guy for years as a Vikings fan. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I hated him so much.
yeah,
Thank God it's over. Thank
You're a
God
Vikings fan.
Bears are trash.
You have to hate him.
yeah. You know, he's like I remember like seeing his face like in Chicago, like all over. Like I think he has some kind of business influence still in Chicago right now. So he's still very influential, still big in that city. But also, I always like mixed up him and Zach Thomas. To me, like they were very similar.
2 white linebackers.
Yeah, like they just like like I always mix them up. But I had him at number 7 on my list. He had 1,361 combined tackles. That's 12th all time. He's number 6 all time amongst middle linebackers in solo tackles. He had 1,046. 9th all time period in solo tackles. Very, very impressive. 11 forced fumbles, 22 interceptions, and 138 tackles for loss. That's second all time amongst middle linebackers. Oh, wow, you mentioned some longevity. So he played for 13 years. Bobby Wagner has played for 11 so far. I mean, Bobby Wagner, I think, is going to, if he continues to play, going to crack this list and ascend for sure. But that's our number 4 guy, Brian Urlacher. As we move in to our top 3 guys, this is another guy that's going to be a point of contention for us because of our different criteria. And number 3, we have Mike Singletary. At number 3, he was, again, NF and OY's lists were incredibly, incredibly similar. He was on both of y'all's lists. He was not on my list at all. We'll start with Naif on this one. Talk to us about the anchor of the 85 Bears, because I know you're going to mention it.
He was not on your list?
No, not top 10.
Wow. Okay, Super Bowl champ.
Yep.
2-time Defensive Player of the Year. 7-time First-Team All-Pro. Second-Team All-Pro. 10 Pro Bowls.
He wants winners. He wants players that want to win.
One of the greatest post-game press conferences of all time. This guy was an unbelievable linebacker, unbelievable defense, one of the greatest defenses of all time. Not a great coach, but
Terrible
this
coach.
guy, I had him at number 2, I think.
Yeah, you guys had him both very high.
I mean, Omar, if you play the position we're talking about and you win best player on that side of the ball,
Troy Polamalu, 1 year, yeah.
That's great. He did it twice.
Sorry, 2 years. Sorry.
Twice.
Yeah, 2 years.
Incredible middle linebacker. One of the greatest middle linebackers of all time. Sure, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
On my list. Number 2 on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's number 2 on my list too. I think for a while, well, if we're really going back to like Dick Butkus days, I think this guy has always been like the second or third best linebacker to to ever play the game. Again, another person in that lineage of like the Chicago Bears linebackers. When I think of this guy, I think of intensity. I think of him bringing like that physicality. And I think of him dropping his pants when he was addressing the 49ers in the locker room after the game.
Oh, really?
You guys not know about this?
No.
You didn't know? Oh my god.
No.
I think like there's a story when he was the coach. They either lost the game or they were losing the game, something like that. So like he's giving them a speech, and so like he took his pants off and he was like, "We're getting our asses whipped out here." Blah 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 blah.
Damn.
So
That
yeah,
sounds like some CTE fueled stuff.
Yeah.
Rada, do you know about Singletary? He played in the '80s. So what do you think about him? Do you know him?
To me, anybody who I didn't watch play doesn't exist.
Fair enough.
I truly believe that. I think you should keep him off your list. You didn't watch him, although I think first of all, I think Baggers' criteria is completely flawed. That you only look at the numbers without watching a human being play.
I do both.
You clearly don't.
Sure.
You got bums on your list, man.
Bums? Who's a bum? London Fletcher's a bum? Lavonte David's a bum?
No, but your criteria for why
Where you have them, how high you have them, yeah, there's something inherently wrong.
Something bummy about that.
Okay,
Singletary played into the 90s, by the way. He retired in 92.
92, right, yeah. So
He's a part of that undefeated team, right?
They weren't undefeated, but they had the best defense of all time. Yeah,
They lost one game.
Oh, they did? What?
yeah, but it was the greatest defense of all time.
he's mistaken them for the Dolphins, who he also doesn't think exist because he never watched them play.
Yeah,
885 solo tackles. That's not nowhere near the top 10 for me. His combined tackles are really good. 1,488. That puts him probably top 10, top 15. 7 interceptions. That's nothing really. He played before forced fumbles were really a thing, but he had 12 fumble recoveries. And my criteria for defenses, it was easier to play defense back then than it is now. So that era, I think, hurts him a little bit. Like I said, I understand he was part and really the anchor of that legendary 85 Bears team. So, kudos to him for that and his accolades. He played for 12 years, relatively low compared to his peers that are, I think are in the top 10. And he was just like a terrible coach for the Niners, and his legacy is, I don't know, a little bit tainted as combined with some of the stats and the era he played in. So that's why I didn't include him on my top 10.
He's number 3.
On our list, yeah, number 3. Yeah.
Oh wow, one guy's not gonna make the list. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's move on to our number 2 guy. At number 2, we have Junior Seau, rest in peace, the great San Diego Charger. This was a guy that was on all of our lists as well, including Ruddy's list. That was a late addition here. So Ruddy, actually, we'll let you talk about Junior Seau first. He played a long time ago, but you clearly value him.
Yeah, well, I watched him play. So even when he was old, he was good. I'm not going to make any jokes about Junior Seau. The man has been through enough. He's a great, great player. And I watched him towards the end of his career, and he was still down. So that's all I have to say. I don't know about number 2, but I can't take anything away from Seau. What a great player.
Yeah. Oh, why? Talk to us about Seau. Where'd you have him? What do you think?
Yeah, I had him at number 3, so it's kind of close to, I guess, where he ended up. But hey, man, the most intense player I've ever seen. Like the most intense linebacker. Like this dude rode it every weekend, and you saw it like in his play. And I think it's really tragic, just kind of what happened to him after the fact. But I think when he was playing, you saw the emotion, you saw like that physicality, and I think that carried through everything. He has all the stats. I think he has the longevity, and I think he has the impact. And I think he might be the first guy on this list where it kind of meets everybody's criteria. And I think we're all in agreement that he should definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Anna, talk to us about Junior.
Yeah, I had him number 5 on my list. RIP Junior Seau. This guy played for 19 years, which is incredible.
Wow.
20, I think, actually. Yeah.
1990, retired in 2009. 2009 was his last season. Crazy. 6-time first team All Pro, 3-time second team All Pro, both Pro Bowls. 56.5 sacks, 18 picks, 11 forced fumbles, 18 fumble recoveries. This guy was really good for a really long time. Even when he moved around, like when he left the Chargers, he was still good with the Dolphins. He was still good on that Patriots team. I'm surprised though. Derek Brooks didn't make this list. I had Seau at 5 and Brooks at 6.
He's
out. Sure. Is he?
Brooks is outside. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Really?
That's why I didn't.
Derek Thomas is inside.
Oh shit! No,
No, he's not.
Derek Thomas, the chief.
He was like
Derek Thomas.
He was like one of the guys.
Okay, so I'm not.
Derek
crazy.
Thomas, I thought was inside.
I thought, damn, how did we not include Derek Brooks? I always thought Derek Brooks was a middle linebacker.
I had him as outside as well.
He would definitely have been up here.
Yeah.
Derek Brooks didn't used to cover. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it out later. But yeah, I had Seau at number 5.
Yeah.
I don't think he won a Super Bowl, right, with the Pats?
No, he didn't. Not quite. He deserved one.
Sad story. He definitely, if anybody deserved the Super Bowl, he deserved one more than Rodney Harrison for sure.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you read off a lot of the stats. In addition, he had 1,847 combined tackles. He's third all time in combined tackles. Extremely impressive. Like you said, played for 20 years, 80 tackles for loss. Just a really solid resume. And also, he had everything that everyone was looking for, except for the Super Bowl. He had, the historic cultural value that the Ruddy's looking for. He had the great prime you guys are looking for, and he had a lot of the great numbers that I look for. So. Junior Seau at number 2. And at number 1, shocker. Who do we have at number 1? Ray Lewis, of course, the great Baltimore Raven, the guy that had a storybook ending to his career, the guy that might have gotten away with something. Ray Lewis, he was on all of our lists. Obviously, NF will throw it to you here. Talk to us about Ray. You're muted.
Yeah, what can you say? I mean, one of the greatest. He's the greatest middle linebacker of all time for me. We don't even have to go through his stats. His impact, his cultural impact, his impact at that position, his impact on that defense. The Ravens went as far as this guy went. And something that's great about his career is he won a Super Bowl early after killing a guy. And then he came back and won another Super Bowl later. With Joe Flacco as his quarterback. Both of his Super Bowls were with horrible quarterbacks, and it was mainly because of that defense. So, greatest linebacker of all time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rada.
He is the standard.
Oh, yeah.
He is what everybody is. Although I've already said this, but Patrick Willis had 1 year where I thought he was, that year only, he was better than Ray Lewis. But Ray Lewis did that for 20 years. Is that how long he played for?
17, yeah.
Oh my God. And he was good even towards the end.
Yeah, you're right.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
What an absolute legend. And he also had one of the best, most legendary entrances. You guys remember the Ray Lewis move?
Yeah, do it for us. Get up and do it for us. So like he's taking in prayer, like if you can't pray physically, then you do like this and you do it with your. So he's doing the third level of the Ray Lewis dance. Oh, why? Talk to us.
But by the way, okay, I just want to. You know what? I'll hold myself till the end. Go ahead, OY.
Okay, go ahead, OY.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna just echo a lot of what's been already said. I don't need to get into his stats. I saw this guy play basically his whole career. He won games single-handedly, he single-handedly, and then later on with Ed Reed, took that defense and controlled games. He won games. I agree with Naif. Both of the Super Bowls that he won, not great, quarterback play. That first one, that 2000 team, which is also, that is in contention for the greatest defense of all time.
Yeah, especially because of how bad their offense was.
Bro, they scored like 10 points a game. Like the offense. Like legit 10 points a game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I think impact-wise, this guy is, I agree with Rada. He is the standard. He's probably starting on like the all-time NFL team. It's either him or Butkus if you go all the way back, but you can't say much more than that.
The main point scorer for that team I remember was like Matt Stover, right? Like the field goal kicker. Like he was the only guy that was scoring points for that team. That team was horrible on offense. Horrible.
Also,
and they won a Super Bowl. They might have been one of the worst offensive teams in the league that year.
Real quick.
I think they were.
He also, this is kind of like a much broader thing. That city took on that whole personality. Like that team took on the whole personality of that city. Like I hate Baltimore.
Okay.
But I'm talking the city is trash. But in terms of like toughness and grit, like they took on that whole personality, and it sounds ridiculous, but I think he and of course Ed Reed were a big reason for that.
Yeah. Baltimore.
If the wire was a defense, it would be the Ravens.
Nice, good comparison.
Sure.
Omar coming. Baltimore, we love y'all's crap cakes. Ray Lewis, he could have taken all 5 spots at the top 5 here. He is so much better than the second person on anybody's list.
He really is.
1,568 solo tackles, first all time. 2,059 combined tackles, first all time. 31 interceptions. He's 192nd, but that's like in a league where it's the defensive backs that are supposed to get interceptions, not the linebackers. So he cracks the top 200 in interceptions. 19 forced fumbles, and then 99 tackles for loss. Again, that's 43rd all time as an inside linebacker. That's another stat that's usually reserved for a lot of the pass rushers. 2 Super Bowls. That's more than anybody else on this list, I guess, except for Singletary. Or Singletary just had 1, right? Yeah. So most of anyone on this list played for 17 years. Very clearly the greatest middle linebacker of all time without contention here. We have about 7 minutes to talk about maybe some honorable mentions that you guys have. I think somebody mentioned that they wanted to say something, or I guess it was about Derek Brooks that you wanted to say at the end, right?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I understand why I counted him as a middle linebacker. The guy played outside linebacker in that Tampa too. Rarely ever blitzed. And he had like 20-something interceptions. 7 touchdowns. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So, even statistically, he looked like a middle linebacker in his tackles and his coverage. So, if I can throw off some honorable mentions, I had Teddy Bruschi. I think was very important to that New England defense, 3-time Super Bowl champ. And I had Ken Norton Jr. as well. I don't know if you guys remember him.
The trainer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy that you guys considered outside linebacker, by the way, Lawrence Taylor, was first-team All-Pro inside linebacker in 1983.
That's because he played in the 3-4. He was relatively new.
No, that's not why. I already looked up why.
We know better. We know better.
He was the only player ever to be both inside linebacker and outside linebacker All-Pro on the same team, same year.
Listen, we did our best to try to distinguish the two because, yes, it's fluid. Sometimes they go in and out. So we try to say, like, what did they play mostly? Like, most of their career, what do they play? And that's what this list is pretty much comprised of.
Okay.
Of course,
I think a lot of these guys will show up in, like, the next whatever week.
Yeah, right.
Also, how dare you guys not mention E.J. Henderson?
What?
Mention him? Yeah, I would have to have heard of him to mention him. Who is he?
And Chad Greenway, the 2 greatest linebackers.
Oh, the purple, because they wore purple. That's what makes them great, huh?
I had him right behind Anthony Barr.
Yo, Anthony Barr had 2 good years, man. Don't hate.
What about Darren Hambrick though?
Who?
Darren Hambrick was really good.
No, for real. Some I had honorable mentions to Harry Carson. super slept on from the
Yeah,
90s.
I agree with
Very slept on linebacker. I did have Ken Norton on here, and then I also had Sam Mills. I think I talked to Knife about that, bro.
Yeah.
Sam Mills was a great player who was stuck on some horrible teams.
Saints mostly, yeah, I remember.
I think he gets, it gets lost, but he was a great linebacker.
That Saints defense, they had two really good linebackers for like a few years.
Yeah.
The rest of the team sucked. They were like hot garbage. They
Yeah.
had Mills and somebody else. The name escapes me. I don't know if you guys can name it.
Yeah. No, I agree. OY. Those were some guys that were on my honorable mentions as well. Really, really great player. Also, Keith Brooking, Chris Spielman, Takeo Spikes, Karlos Dansby, all kind of on the fringes as well. But that'll go ahead and do it, fellas, for our inside linebacker top 10 list of all time. I know that we tried to bifurcate the linebackers here between inside and outside. Hopefully, we did as good a job as possible. And we'll look to address some of the outside and the pass rushers in future episodes. But football season's upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Mostly gentlemen that are watching. I'm not going to, fool myself here. But the first preseason games were today. So we're going to, start going into, like, real football stuff coming up soon. So we look...
Like top 10 projected players.
That kind of stuff. And fantasy and all that kind of stuff. So, sorry?
Huh?
CJ Stroud.
He's terrible. He looked really bad.
Game,
You know who actually looked really good today? Malik Cunningham. He might be the starter for the Patriots.
I thought you were gonna say Bailey Zapp.
No, he didn't look that great. Malik Cunningham looked like he's gonna be a starter.
Zappy is the next Tom Brady. You watch. You wait and see.
Malik Cunningham is gonna take his job, I think. I'm just throwing that
I
out
think you
there.
were talking about Ricky Jackson, by the way.
Ricky Jackson, the Dome Patrol. That's what it was called, the Dome Patrol.
Whatever you say.
Back
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're trying to build, of course, like I told you all the time, follow us on YouTube and subscribe, share, comment, do all that good stuff. Helps us with the algorithm so we can continue to grow and bring you better podcasts. Follow us on Spotify. Give us a rating. That really helps us as well. Yeah.
London Fletcher is better than Mike Singletary.
He is. 100%. 100%.
Lavonte David.
I'll die on that hill. I will die on that hill.
Give him hell, fans.
NFOY and the Rada. Thank you so much. This has been the Football v Football podcast. Have a fantastic day, football fans.